Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Just had a very good lunch with Sam. Sam, thank you so much for lunch.
No, you're welcome.
It was absolutely
It's
gorgeous.
nice to have for you to come out.
Okay, now we're going to talk about cultural matters. Being British Asian, and the fact that we're going to talk about we're going to talk about different parts of it now. Growing up, we didn't have much of a choice. We went to Pakistan and we had to marry our cousin. There was no ifs, buts, or maybe. We had to marry them. Someone who we were not compatible with, and it was just a complete mismatch. And what about the guys? The guys, some of them, they also went through the same thing. They had to go back home, Pakistan, and they had to marry a cousin. And when we were growing up, our mums raised us in a manner. We learned how to make chapatis because that's all a wife is supposed to do in the Asian culture. A daughter-in-law, her, roti. I talk about making chapatis. So our mums, they brought us up to make curry. They brought us up to make chapatis.
The Asian foods to please our
maintain house and home. But then all the British lads and all the good lads, they're all going to Pakistan to get married.
Exactly. So that's where the discrepancy came, and the sad thing is that a lot of them, they were married off at a young age as well, so they just fell into the same trap. Their parents didn't want them to go off with.
But what about a nice British Asian girl? We all knew how to cook. Lots of British Asian girls. They learned how to cook because the mothers, made sure they did that what they were supposed to instill old world values to them. But still, the sons, they were going to Pakistan, getting forced to marry whoever.
Yeah, it was for the betterment of the families, the extended families, though. So.
But what about for the betterment of the son? People. Whether you're a son, you're a daughter, they've got attachment. Like, what if the girl did have a girlfriend? Then that's a bit of a mess.
Well, exactly, and that's where they were torn between Western culture and Asian culture, but they had to please the parents, and that's why they did it.
So people were living double lives, and we did it from childhood, and it's going on through adulthood, and we're not really being true to ourselves then, are we?
Absolutely.
Okay, now going back to when we went for lunch, we bumped into one of your friends, a lovely girl, and she asked, would I want to live in Accrington? And I said, no, I'd rather go live in Pakistan, because this is how I feel. I feel like, with the older generation, the generation and the two generations that came here before us, they didn't come to England for a better life. They came here with their old lives with them, and they have preserved the old world cultures and the British way of life with them. A lot of our older generation, it's not there. They have everything as Asian to the max, and in kind of way it's like, I'm not saying they've deteriorated Accrington or Blackburn, but what they've done is in towns like Blackburn, Accrington, Rochdale, they're not towns I'd want to go to.
It's familiarity. It's where the relatives are. Each person.
But what they've done is, like in media, in show business. It's like if I was. I did the research. If I was to do a show in Blackburn, if I was to do a show in Accrington, I have done a show in Rochdale, and it's like no. It's like the hate. It's like no, don't do it, and they don't want.
They've segregated themselves as a community.
They've segregated, and what they've done is they've not. They've totally imported and inflicted their way of life in Blackburn, Rochdale, Oldham, Newcastle, and in these Asian towns. They have made little Mirpurs, mini Mirpurs everywhere they go, and then they've preserved it, and then what they do is they go and get a daughter-in-law from a village in Pakistan who comes with her village mentality, background, and then the UK culture, like Blackburn, Accrington, it gets more deteriorated because there's someone come and she does 10 times more damage.
It's happening in other cities as well. Bradford is another high example where there's like communities that segregate themselves. But it's really sad because everyone should be able to enjoy Western society, Western culture, Western music, and they don't tend to do that because where there's pockets of a lot of Muslim people, they won't go out or they won't tell people that they're going out to a music event and things like that. So it's a really dying shame.
And what the people of Blackburn, Accrington and Rochdale, they do, they'd rather go to Manchester and enjoy a show than enjoy a show in Blackburn, because I don't know, it's like the British way of life, going to see a show, going out to dinner. I mean, these things are normal, but they're not normal for Blackburn, Accrington, Rochdale and little town people.
Yeah, I see it a lot. And even like if girls are going out together, they don't tend to stay in their own towns. They'll go out to Manchester or Birmingham and they'll go and have a good time there, which is...
And it's, in a way, it's a shame for the girls of Blackburn, because if someone in Blackburn was to do something for them, then they'd be ostracised and sent to social Siberia. Well, that's what happened, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems.
There's a lot of backbiting, a lot of talking.
But this, like I said, I mean, you know, when people come to the UK, they don't come for a new life. They import their old lives with them and their family, and, you know, everything that is good and bad with the village mentality comes with them. And when they bring a daughter-in-law, I mean, you know, what's wrong with the girls in the UK? Why don't they choose one of us to marry?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And that's why a lot of the immigration rules have been tightened, because it wasn't happening. And I think touche. I think it's good.
Well, it is. Well, like I said, it's sad. I mean, a lot of the older ladies, I mean, straight away, they think their son's getting married straight away. They want a roti maker. You can get a roti maker for £800